Across centuries, humans have fought, prayed, and argued over which God is the true one. And even scripture seems to glorify a different God as supreme and other as subordinate. But can they all be right? Who is the most supreme really? Is it Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, or someone beyond all of them? Today, in this video, we are going to find out why every god is called the most powerful in different texts, why Hindus worship many gods, and who truly holds the highest place according to the oldest Hindu scripture. To uncover who's truly supreme, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the oldest scripture. In the Rig Veda, it is said they call him Indra, Mitra, Varuna, Agni, and he is a heavenly noble winged Garudman. But there is only one truth. The sages call it by many names, such as Agni, Yama, or Matarishwan. The Rig Veda openly acknowledges many gods, Indra, Varuna, Agni, and others. But it also makes it clear that sages recognize these as different titles for a singular ultimate reality. It gives a very different picture of divinity than what we usually hear today. But if we move forward in time, the later scriptures tells us an entirely different story. If we look at Shaivya tradition, Shiva, also called Rudra or Maheshwara, is identified with Brahman and considered the supreme reality. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad explicitly states, Rudra is truly one, for the knowers of Brahman do not admit the existence of a second. He alone rules all the worlds by his powers. Later, the Shiva Purana goes even further. It says that Brahma and Vishnu, who are often seen as powerful creator and preserver gods, were actually created by Shiva. Their strength and powers come from him. The famous Linga narrative illustrates this. When Brahma and Vishnu debate who is supreme, an infinite Linga, pillar of light representing Shiva, appears. Neither Brahma nor Vishnu can find its beginning or end, leading them to acknowledge Shiva's supremacy. The Shiva Purana equates Sadashiva with Brahman and shows Shiva's primacy across all cosmic functions. But if we look at Vaishnavite tradition, it's Vishnu or Narayan who is considered Parabrahman. According to this view, all other gods, including Shiva and Brahma, exist and function through Vishnu's will. The Bhagavad Puran clearly describes Narayan as Parabrahma, the ultimate source of everything, and says that every other deity is simply one of his expressions. There is some truth to that statement about every deity being one of his expressions, and we will later explain what exactly is meant by this. The Brahma Samhita states the supremacy of Krishna. Krishna, known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He is the prime cause of all causes. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam also calls Krishna the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes. Different Vaishnava schools interpret supremacy differently. Some, like Gaudiya Vaishnavism, consider Krishna the original source from whom Vishnu emanates, while others, like Madhava Sampradaya, view Vishnu as supreme with Krishna as an incarnation. Even in Shaktism, the Devi, also known as Adi Parashakti or the primordial energy, is worshipped as supreme reality. The Devi Mahatmya, comprising 700 verses arranged into 13 chapters within the Markandeya Purana, clearly presents the goddess as supreme. The crucial passage where Devi made contains addresses to the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. There is always oneness between me and the Purush. There is no difference whatsoever at any time. Who is I? That is Purush. Who is Purush? That is I. All three of you have been created by me. You are all my partial expansions. Under my jurisdictions, all three of you have appeared to govern this universe. In the Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, Lord Vishnu himself admits, I, Vishnu, Brahma and Shankar are existing by your grace. We have birth and death. We are not eternal. Only you are eternal, are the mother of the world. According to Shakta philosophy, Mahadevi possesses both Nirguna, formless, attributeless, and Saguna, manifested with form, making her the Parabrahma in both transcendent and immanent forms. All gods and goddesses, including the Trimurti and Tridevi, are manifestations of her will. So whichever god, scripture or story we read, whether it's about Shiva, Vishnu or Devi, the particular god is described as the supreme being in the tradition. But if we look at the earliest texts, they point towards one attributeless god, which, for mutual understanding, we can refer here to as Brahman. If we see both texts together, it looks like the earliest scriptures contradict the later one. But first, let's understand the concept of God in Sanatan Dharma. In Sanatan Dharma, God doesn't refer to a person or being, but to the very nature of reality. Kenopanishad reveals that which one does not breathe with one's breath, but by which breath is breathed. Know that alone as Brahman, and not this which people worship here. This verse teaches that Brahman is not any external phenomenon, deity, or object of worship. Rather, it is the eternal, irreversible consciousness that animates all life functions. And now the natural question is, are all gods fake? Are these just stories? The answer is no. The Upanishads explain that for limited beings to understand the true nature, they utilize the physical form first and use it as a stepping stone to reach the ultimate reality. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad states, Brahman has but two forms, gross and subtle, mortal and immortal, limited and unlimited, defined and undefined. As this verse suggests, Brahman is both, the one that is perceivable and another that is beyond perception, both Nirgun and Sagun, Nirgun Brahman. This is the ultimate formless, attributeless reality beyond all the names and forms. It transcends causality, qualities, and manifestations. This is the true ultimate nature of reality. Sagun Brahman. This is the manifested form of Brahman, the personal God with qualities, forms, and attributes. This includes all the gods and goddesses humanity worship: air, fire, sun, mountain, nature. Everything you can touch, see, or experience. It includes all the things which are governed by physical law. These are not different forms of God, but stages in evolution of a spiritual seeker, beginning with the tangible and gradually moving toward the formless reality. With this understanding, let's move forward. Now, if we ask, why did the ancient text allow the worship of many gods in the first place? It is because Hindu philosophy clearly recognizes the spiritual knowledge unfolds in stages. Much like how our understanding of mathematics progresses from basic arithmetic to higher calculus. For someone starting their journey, worshipping a specific deity, whether Shiva, Vishnu or Devi, serves as a bridge to the ultimate reality. The human mind, driven by the senses, cannot immediately grasp abstract oneness. Therefore, a form is needed, something tangible to focus on. Through worship and devotion, the senses of eye and mind slowly begins to dissolve. This melting of identity is how one naturally moves toward meditation and inner stillness. The Vedas and Upanishads never forbid worshipping many gods. They understood it as a natural step for those beginning the path. Even Adi Shankaracharya, who revived Advaita Vedanta, did not reject god worship or ritual. Instead, he redefined their purpose. Rituals and god worship are valid for preparation and purification of the mind, but they are not the ultimate goal or final realization. The Upanishad states, the performance of all the sacrifices described in the Maitrayan Brahman is to lead up in the end to the knowledge of Brahman. In other words, all paths eventually lead to recognizing non-duality. Worship of different gods, rituals, bhakti are preparatory practices for those not yet ready for direct knowledge. But the ultimate realization is always the same, non-dual Brahman. Even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in whatever way people surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. Everyone follows my path, knowingly or unknowingly. Here, Krishna is not referring to himself as a blue-skinned man playing a flute. He is speaking as the supreme consciousness that exists in all being. The me here represents the infinite reality, which every form of worship ultimately points toward. However, Shankaracharya also cautions that ritual worship based on separation, thinking that God is somewhere else and we are apart from him, keeps one bound in ignorance, avidya. The doctrine of difference is wrong. He who knows the Brahman is one and he is another does not know Brahman, he writes. This means if you differentiate saying my God is supreme, your God is inferior, these gods are different entities, you have not realized the truth. The very act of differentiation is rooted in ignorance. In his Updeshahastri, Shankaracharya further explains, worship, rituals and devotion are not wrong. They are powerful tools for inner refinement, but the ultimate truth is beyond worshipper and worshipped, beyond form and name. When realization dawns, one sees that the worshipper, the deity and the act of worship all are one Brahman. Now we understand that to truly realize Brahman, we must remove duality. But before that, we need to understand what creates it in the first place. Maya, often misunderstood as illusion, explained in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad as the creative power of Brahman. Maya is the veil that obscures direct perception of unity. It causes us to see many gods, many beings, many forms. Even though beneath all diversity, only Brahman exists. When you exist within the realm of Maya and can't yet perceive beyond the physical or realize that you are more than just this body, that state is called avidya or ignorance. Avidya means being enchanted by the appearance of multiplicity, believing the external variety is the only truth. Instead of recognizing that all forms arise from the same source Brahman, we start to identify with differences and appearances. People engage in endless debates about which god is supreme. The Brahma Sutra and Advaita Vedanta clearly explain, though we consider the individual self as different from Brahman, in fact, these two are not different. This is simply because there is no second to Brahman and all that exists is only Brahman. It is only due to the influence of Maya we perceive duality. The debates about my god is supreme, your god is subordinate, are the direct result of Maya, the cosmic system that obscures the truth of non-duality. These debates are symptoms of ignorance, not steps on the spiritual path. But the question is, what happens when we go beyond duality and entire process itself? That's exactly what Mandukya Upanishad reveals. Though it contains only 12 verses, is one of the most direct teachings on non-duality. It lays out the entire journey of consciousness in just a few lines and reveals how realization unfolds through 4 states. Waking, Jagrati. This is the state where your consciousness is outwardly focused through the senses. The state where you perceive many gods, many beings. Dreaming, Swapna. Here consciousness turns inward. You experience a world created by your own mind, still within mind and imagination. Deep sleep, Shushupti. In this state, there is no awareness of external or eternal objects. Everything dissolves temporarily. There is peace, blissfulness without subject-object distinction. Turiya, the 4th state. Beyond all these 3 is Turiya, the pure, ever-present consciousness that underlies all experiences, the ultimate transcendent consciousness. Shankara's commentary emphasizes that Turiya is pure, non-dual consciousness, the realization of self as an absolutely undifferentiated Brahman. This is the ultimate goal of spiritual pursuit, to realize absolute oneness. The Mandukya Upanishad clearly states, in Turiya, the self realizes its non-dual nature, transcending the limitations of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, and further explains, by understanding and abiding in Turiya, one transcends suffering and attains moksha, or liberation, from the cycle of birth and death. In the end, all these teachings converge toward a single understanding. The journey is from illusion to truth, from many to one. Once the nature of Turiya is grasped, the idea of separate gods or divided realities simply dissolves. Non-duality is the ultimate truth. Seeing or arguing about differences between gods isn't worth anything in our spiritual journey because it still belongs to the realm of ignorance. The Chandogya Upanishad's teachings is clear. Everything that exists arises from Brahman and also goes back into Brahman. Brahman is superior to everything. Brahman is the highest goal. In essence, Vedantic spirituality is a step-by-step evolution of understanding many gods to one non-dual reality, beyond even the idea of a separate god. The highest realization goes beyond the relationship of worshipper and worshipped, lover and beloved. It is the direct knowledge that there is only one without a second.